Hello, this is Richie from PlayStationCountry.com, and today we're taking a look at Assault Android Cactus on PlayStation 4. And this is a twin stick shooter, a fairly traditional one that's out on PSN now. So after this cutscene where you go and rescue a bunch of androids from a derelict spacecraft, you end up getting into the game properly, and straight away you can actually select yourself or one of these rescued characters. And whichever character you select, and there are more to unlock later on, these all have different weapons, and so it kind of does give at least a bit of variety to the game. This character, as you can see, has a bit of a spread shot, but some of them have like rail guns, shotguns, assault rifles, that kind of thing. So this is pretty much an arena shooter for the most part. There are some levels that scroll, but most of the time you're in a fairly enclosed area. And although these areas can sort of morph and change, for the most part it's just you with a bunch of enemies spawning in, and you've got to try and hit them before a chain counter runs out. Not that matters, that's just a score thing. And you also have to make sure that you don't take too much damage. Now, damage is handled a little bit differently to how you'd expect. Whenever you're moving around or shooting, that's draining your battery, and getting shot drains it further. Eventually batteries will be dropped from mobs of enemies, but it does take a while, and so you can't afford to take too much damage, because eventually you'll just be stranded and then you'll die, if androids can die, but you know what I mean. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's power-ups that turn up. They come in three flavours, which is that one of them gives you a bit more shooting ability, one of them freezes enemies, and another helps you move a bit faster. And whilst some levels can introduce some nice ideas, like this one with its conveyor belts and that kind of thing, pretty much it's just one thing that's going on here. You getting away from the enemies and trying to shoot them before they overpower you. Now, it is pretty satisfying, especially with the right characters. Some of the characters are just a little bit unusable, but this one that has the lasers good, and the one with the spread shot's good, and there's a couple of other ones that are alright. You'll find your favourite, and you'll pretty much want to stick with them though, because this is a pretty challenging game, and the enemies do come thick and fast. So once you've figured out who's good, you'll probably stay with that all the way through the game. And you're going to need to, because aside from these levels, which are pretty tricky, you also have boss battles, which are actually really tricky, pretty difficult affairs. And it depends on whether or not you like kind of learning patterns and that kind of thing. I don't particularly, so I find the boss battles a bit of a grind, and they are pretty much multi-stage affairs, so they take ages to take down. When it's just straight up you in an arena taking on loads of enemies, it's a bit more interesting, especially when you're trying to keep that chain counter going. Now, this game's done really, really well in the reviews. I mean, it did well on Steam, and now it's in console land. People like Destructoid and whatever are going nuts over it, and that's kind of weird, because to me it's a pretty straightforward shooter. It's not that much fun, it's not that great looking, the graphics do get in the way a bit, the boss battles are a bit of a chore, the power-ups aren't really that good, a lot of the characters are a bit of a waste of time. Even does that annoying thing of speaking to you through the joypad speakers, which I haven't seen for a while because it's not that good a feature for the PS4. So yeah, it's a good game. It's just a bit forgettable and nowhere near as good as people have been saying. But anyway, if you like the video, you might like the game, so check it out. But definitely check us out on PlayStationCountry.com, or we're going to roll up a magazine and shove it down your throat.